Welcome to the Life Currency Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Lozano, a show that explores success, growth, and opportunity in the restaurant industry. A restaurant podcast by restaurant people, powered by F&P Media. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another episode, and this is a very special one. This is one that I've been waiting for, and I'm very excited about. But today's episode is a little bit different. We have F&P's very own VP of Tech, and I'm excited to let him introduce himself. Today's episode is also our first episode shot in the studio in 2026. Is that correct, Pat? First episode. So exciting stuff. The Life Currency set is being completed. We've shot a couple videos here, and I feel like it's just a big milestone. So doing this with G and being able to say that this is the first episode of 2026 is super exciting. But go ahead and let everybody know who you are, G.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on the pod, Bob. And just so everyone knows, my name's Genaro Alvarez, and everyone does call me G here in the restaurant industry. But that's a little bit about me, and I've been working in the QSR business now for going on 10 years. So started.
That really how long we've been working together? 10 years?
Yeah, nearly 10 years.
Oh,
now.
my goodness.
So started back in 2016.
2016, so going on 10 years, you come, and if I'm remembering correctly, I think we were starting an IT company at the time, right?
Yeah, we were. So at that time, we had a business consultant that was helping the Dairy Queen brand.
That's right.
And he went on and started developing some softwares and, started pretty much leveraging some of his resources in India. And
that's so crazy, man. Rest in peace, Kai Wolf.
Yeah, rest in peace.
That was super sad. Kai Wolf was a mentor of ours, and really, honestly, I think a great guy.
He was cool. He was, very different. He was German, so he had, this aggressiveness to him, I guess you can say.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's how he'd start his
every day.
Every single day that he came in. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's good energy. Kai brought a lot of good energy. He brought a lot of intensity. I think you came in at a time that's actually very interesting because it's all kind of full circle a little bit. I know we haven't done the IT company, and we shut that down, but we are looking at some other IT projects, which I want to get into today, actually. But rest in peace, Kai. He was a great mentor. Kai, I think it's important for us as we get into this that we mention that Kai, I think he put us on a lot I think he put us on a very different trajectory. And that's kind of crazy to think about because one individual in an organization can honestly change the trajectory of the whole organization. And so him in his consulting role, he was a consulting CEO at the time. I was, 10 years ago, I was a franchisee. Robert, my dad, was running the business and thinking about how to get the second generation more involved, which is myself and my sister. And Kai Wolf came in and was consulting me to be a CEO at the time. I think at that time, I don't remember. Do you remember if I was in a development role or?
No, it was actually before. So I think it was before.
I was in operations, right?
And it was even before operations. I think you were doing trainings. You
right.
started online trainings with GMs at the time.
You're right.
And
you're
then
right.
You went into the operations.
Because we still had a different director of ops at the time.
I think he had just exited?
Just
exit the business.
Yeah.
I think he was actually running the operations. If I'm not mistaken.
So I think there was some of that, and I think so a little backstory here. Kai Wolf, the way we understand it, reported to Larry Page at Google. A fascinating individual, a wealth of knowledge. Worked across. I think he touted. I don't know how many time zones he said he
was
had.
Flying from different countries at a time.
Yeah, all the time. And he landed in the Rio Grande Valley, said he had a passion for the culture. And also he saw so much opportunity in the Rio Grande Valley, which I thought was pretty fascinating because he looked at it at such a macro level and saw that there was not only a cultural opportunity, but an opportunity geographically based on where we're at. I remember vividly talking about a lot of why he thought the Valley was such a could be an economic boom. Fast forward 10 years, it really has been. And we've seen,
It's grown so much.
we've seen a lot of that growth. So, I know I kind of got sidetracked, but I think it's important that we acknowledge some of that because I think both of us at the time, I know we both learned a lot through that
Oh,
process.
for sure. I mean, for me, coming in, fresh out of, a startup tech software company that I was working for and just doing bare minimum tech, you know, um, operations or any type of tech work. I was
hmm
just getting my feet wet at the time, fresh
So
out of college.
you were out of college,
I
right?
was out of college and I had just gotten my first IT job,
And was it a bachelor's degree or what did you get? Or
an
what?
associate's
Yeah.
of applied science in computer networking and security
Yeah.
technology. So, um,
So
another
are you working with your pops at the time or no? Where were you?
So I had helped my dad throughout the years, but no, this company you're saying during college?
Well, no, right at this time where, so you weren't, because you helped your dad out for a little bit, right?
So yeah, so I had been helping my dad like part
Uh,
time,
Yeah.
throughout the years of just growing up and even during college, I guess you can say. But primarily during college years, I was working at a golf course, and it was part time job. And after I graduated, I was able to get a job with a software company. So
What
got
was the
that
company?
job. Data Logic. Data Logic was the name of the company. They developed a token and a software that allowed home health agencies or some of those home health
Mhm.
agencies. What do you call the workers that go around homes and take care of
Like
clients?
caretakers? They're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
caretakers.
caretakers or
So
nurses?
yeah, there you go. So they go to homes, and this token that they used allowed them to dial in, clock in, and basically that's all it
Mhm.
did. Anytime they click that little token, it generated a new number that allowed them to clock in, and that I guess helped. I guess fraud prevention or anything like
And how
that.
long were you there?
I was there for a very short time. I don't even think it
That's right,
was.
now I'm starting to remember.
Yeah, I don't even think it was half a year. So,
Yeah, like 4 months or something?
yeah, and I'm not sure how much of this is gonna go, online or not, but,
All of it.
yeah. So, um, yeah, so, I mean, at the time, I was very, I knew what I wanted at the
Yeah.
time. I had gotten out of school, and the reason I went to school was to obviously work in this area of business. And for me, I guess I had high hopes and dreams.
Mhm.
And I mean, call it, too soon after college. I guess, some people don't actually get to their peak of their careers maybe 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, but I wanted it now. That's kind of the way I felt. And, at the time, it was like, "Hey, well, I need to get a job that's gonna pay me well," and,
Mhm.
I got that opportunity. I thought it was a good, start for me to get my feet wet, and, they kinda made some, they gave me some high hopes. I felt like it was a good opportunity for me. And I guess when the time came, during some evaluations and so forth, they decided not to even move forward. They said, you know what, like you're going to have to kind of stay doing what you're doing. And we decided to not get another, network administrator. And
Is that what you were, a network administrator?
not even, I
Or you were a
was,
tech?
no, I don't even think they had made me a tech yet.
Yeah.
Like, so the way the
So
business
were you an intern
yeah,
or what?
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, when I started, they had me separating files, like PDF files. They had me, pretty much scanning papers, and I was, like, very bare minimum,
Putting that degree to work.
starting to take phone calls. Yeah, like, little support calls,
Yeah.
like, the bare minimum. I was doing the bare minimum. And, so, I mean, I was working my ass off doing, what I had to do. I mean, I was knocking it out so fast, like to the point where it was like, "Hey, what else do I do? Like,
Mhm.
I need more." And, their network administrator at the time had left the company. So I was like, "Hey, this is my time. Like, that's there's no other IT guy here. I'm the only one. They're gonna let me in." And, yeah, it ended up being, "Hey, sorry, we decided to go with somebody else that has already been working here for a couple years longer
Oh, I
than me.
remember you telling me this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
So
you telling me
so
this.
to me, it was almost like, kind of felt like a slap in the face, I guess, but
Yeah, a
I'm
little
the new
bit.
guy, whatever, I'm the new guy. Um,
So
and
that's well, let's call it 4 months into that. You're out of college. You don't want to work with your dad, even though he's a stand-up great
Mhm.
electrician, does great work. Um, and so you start looking for opportunities, or because I can't remember. So in the role that I was in, obviously the IT consulting business, or I mean, it was a consulting slash service business because we were providing services at the time, or trying to at least. I wasn't involved at all. I was kind of giving some opinions and kind of gauging the project from a distance, but I remember them going out and recruiting a team, and I wasn't part of that. And so, how do you remember how were you contacted
Yeah.
by our group or
Yeah,
what?
I do remember. So I've kind of tried to put the pieces together, throughout the years after getting hired. But basically, at the time, I was job searching. I said, you
Hmm.
know what, I'm leaving this job. I'm better off helping my dad making more money.
Right after
And
that happened.
right after that happened, so I left the company, worked with my dad, and started submitting applications all over
Yeah.
the place. And I had already had plans to move. Also, like I was planning to move to San Antonio a few months after that, and continue my education and work out there. And I guess right after doing all that, submitting my applications for school, for jobs, I end up getting a call for Harlingen School District. So they
So at
were
that time, were you dating Alyssa, or
no, I think this was before.
y'all hadn't even met
I
yet?
don't think we had. No, actually, we were dating. We
Okay.
were dating. She lived in Houston.
Okay.
So she lived in Houston. I lived in San
Because
Benito.
of school, or just because is that where she's from?
So she's originally from San
That's
Benito
what I thought. Yeah.
and she moved to Houston. So she was
Okay.
living out there for 4 or 5 plus years. So I didn't even know her. But yeah, we ended up meeting through mutual friends and so on. But back to job search. So Harlingen School District, they had a network administration tech position open up. I was like, perfect. That's my foot in the door. Um, Thought it was a good opportunity. Applied, had an interview set up, and then I get a phone call, either that week or something from one of my college instructors. So he calls and he's like, "Hey, you got a job?" And I was like, "I actually just left a job, and I'm on my way to have an interview this following week." And he's like, "Well, I got a phone call and there's this position available, and first person that came to mind was you." And I was like, "Really?"
Dude,
I
shout
said,
out to that
"Thanks."
guy.
Yeah. So I don't know if Kai reached out to him. I doubt it was Kai. I think Kai talked to somebody at BML,
Mhm.
and BML ended up talking to this instructor. That instructor reached out to me, and so I said, "Yeah, I'm up for it." At this
And
point,
who's the
I need
first person you met with? With Kai himself?
first person I met with was with Kai. So I said, "Yeah, I'm up for it." He's like, "Well, call this number." I call the number, talk to Kai. I didn't
Where'd
even.
y'all meet at? Do you remember?
We met in Brownsville at BML.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So I end up going to BML. He interviews me. So I'm nervous as heck because I'm like, shoot, I don't even know where I'm going, I don't even know what I'm applying for. I just know there's a job opportunity and I'm going to take it. So went to Brownsville, got interviewed. Interview went great. He loved me. He was like, dude, like, you're going to go to a second interview. So he's like, meet me, this date, this time, ended up being in FAR. So go to FAR and end up having an interview with Robert. And so Robert interviewed me at that point. So go through the interview process, and that interview went great. So it was awesome. I mean, it was just like, hey,
Yeah.
cool. Like, I wonder what's next. And they asked me pretty much the standard question. Hey, so when can you start? I was like, I can start right now. If you let me start right now, I can start right now. I can start tomorrow. He's like, all right, great. Come in this Friday. And I think Friday was like the next day. I was like, oh shoot. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So,
Don't lose your train of thought there, but I wanna just ask because I think it's important, but do you remember anything memorable about those interviews, like good or bad?
yeah, I think one thing that kind of stuck to me was Robert asked me like, "Hey, what do you?" I don't remember exactly word for word. It's been a while, but he kind of like asked some questions like, "Hey, well, give me some good examples of your work ethic, or who are you, or how do you work?" Or and I was like, "Well, I'm a very, easygoing person. I'd like to say I'm humble, and I like to work hard. So I told him, if you give me an opportunity here, I mean, I'll work just as hard as two people or three people." And I remember saying it like that because I was just like, and I'm a grinder. I'm going to outwork anybody I possibly can. And after that, after I guess I said those things, and later on towards the tail end, it was like, one of the some of the three reasons I'm hiring you, Genaro, he's like, is because one, you mentioned some of the three things that are just as, super important to me in this business. And he's like, you mentioned that you were a humble person. You mentioned that you're a smart person because you obviously have, studied, and
Mm-hmm.
your things about, technology. And I consider you a smart person. And three, you said, it was humble, smart, and hardworking. And so you said you can work like two to three people. He's like, I like that. He's like, those are three big things to me that are important to us. And that just stuck with me because as I ended up once I got hired and started learning a little more about the company, learning how, being smart, humble, and hardworking, I just felt like um, that just stuck with me for a long time. And I don't know, it's just something that I try to carry with me throughout the years
Yeah.
and just continue to try to push that, in anything I do, I guess.
Dude, that's awesome because you went straight into an interview, and granted it was a startup and it was just getting going, but I mean, it's not all about titles and all about who's who, but I mean, you went into an interview with Kai Wolf and Robert Lozano, I mean, those were, I mean, they
Big,
are
yeah,
big names,
yeah.
and just took it head on, and it's cool to listen to that because you've kept a lot of the same qualities. And fast forward 10 years ago, I think they've paid off in a great way. So that's cool. So I think you were working more at BML, right?
No, I was not.
You were
So
at the FAR office?
so I got hired by Lynn Lee. So when I got hired on, it was actually before even starting the startup. So
Yeah.
this was prior. So I was hired directly by Robert.
'Cause there was 4 individuals.
No, it was just me.
You were the
So I
first.
was the first, and but BML had their own one
That's
guy over
right.
there. So so here's the backstory that I ended up, I guess picking up on. So after working for Lynn Lee, I found out that BML was there, and you remind me, what was BML,
Yeah.
um their
Wha
finance team,
Oh,
or
yeah. Well, yeah, real quick, BML, great accounting firm here locally,
there we go.
Burt McCumber and LaGuardia. It changed, I think at the time, actually.
BMC.
Yeah, BMC.
Mhm.
That's the time where I got to the honor and the privilege to meet, Burt McCumber and a lot of the other partners there. Super successful, accounting firm, and have done great things, and that's where I think that partnership was birthed, and we had worked with them at the time.
Gotcha.
They helped us out with all of our CPA work and accounting work. So yeah, mainly accounting. They do other stuff, but
So I ended up finding out that as BML, BMC previously being our CPAs, I found out that Kai worked with both Lin Lee and BML, right? So I was like,
hmm
okay, this guy's going back and forth. He's helping two different businesses. Um, and then he ended up introducing me to a guy. So that guy's name was Ace. He went by Ace. I
that's
think they
right.
called
I
him
remember
Isidro.
that. Yeah.
So Ace was heading on their IT department at BML, and their prior IT manager had just retired, so he was taking on that role at BML. So me taking on the IT department at Lin Lee, well, we ended up connecting together, and Kai started talking about the future of what he was planning. So he was like, "Hey, you look
And
like,"
Plexus. Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
when Plexus became a thing. So he's like,
hmm
"Hey, we're starting our own IT company. How do y'all feel about this?" Obviously we agreed, like, why not? Me and Ace and you got to meet each other, work together very minimally. So I was like, hey, yeah, like, I think we can make a good team here. Ace can lead BML like he's been, leading them. That's going to be his client, his primary client. Genaro, you've been taking care of Lin Lee. That'll be your primary client. And now let's seek other businesses, right? So we ended up growing a team. So the team actually started at Lin Lee.
Mhm.
So we ended up bringing in Mario. We brought in a couple other guys that didn't make it, unfortunately. And I think we ended up growing the team to about 5 or 6 of us. And
Do you know what happened to Ace? Do you know where he landed? I never got to know him.
Yeah, I think he ended up leaving BML and ended up working at TSTC in Harlingen. So,
Yeah.
so Texas State Technical College there
Yeah.
in Harlingen.
I know. I'm glad we spent the time to kind of dissect that, because I think it's important as we fast forward 10 years down the road, how our company has evolved, but how I think you as a professional, I don't think you would be here today if we haven't or we hadn't evolved. I just think that the restaurant industry is a beautiful one and a great one, and you've had your hands full in a large way. But I think the extra challenges that and all the technology and how much we've introduced technology to our team, that's my speculation. But I think it kept you, it pushed you a lot, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it pushed my boundaries because I mean, you know, coming from college, there's only so much that you're going to learn there, and they're teaching you pretty much, the basics of computers and components, and computers, networking, hardware, and even their software, and teaching you how to configure some of those things. But I mean, you're not really ready for the real world until you actually get your feet wet and get that job. So, coming into the restaurant industry for me, I mean, I remember starting my first day and being like, "Hey, cool! Like I'm working in an office.
Yeah.
I have an office now, and this is what I'm going to be managing here. We'll have a server in our server room."
I think your calculated field.
Yeah, so I was like, "Cool! Like this is easy. There's only 10 employees in this office. It's going to be easy. Sit back, relax. Monitor the network, make sure everything's running smooth. You're good." And it was up until they said, "Hey, let's go to a Dairy Queen." I was like, "Dude, it's barely 9 a.m. What are we going to DQ for?" And yeah, that's where it all started. I was like, okay, there's a lot of technology at restaurants. And yeah, I mean, ever since then, it was just like a consistent learning,
So I think so. If that was like 2017 ish or so, I think this is my personal opinion. I think when you hit a switch is when we opened up Schlotsky's in, I think it was 2021. Right. Yeah. Cause it was 20. When did COVID happen?
1920.
20, right?
Mhm.
So 20. I can't remember what it was. It was February. It was when we opened Schlotsky's in Edinburgh,
Mhm.
and I saw you behind the register, and I think you tapped into more of an operator mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that that's when you started to make a switch, even though you were 3 years in, 3 years maybe, doing a great job, a lot of technical expertise, putting out fires, etc. But that to me is when I saw a lot. I mean, I just saw a whole nother level. And I don't know if you remember any of that, but I do remember you asking and deliberately saying, I want to learn about restaurant operations.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember. And yeah, I don't know what got into me that day or what happened. I think it was just like this feeling of like, hey, I'm sitting here and I'm watching people and my team struggle. You know what I mean? And it wasn't necessarily a struggle, but if
You're in the weeds.
yeah,
I
if
mean,
you're having
yeah.
a grand opening and there's hundreds of people and everyone's running around like crazy, it's like, you know what? Like I feel like I can do something here. Like if I can have a solution to something, I'm gonna jump in and create a solution. And that's kind of the way I tackle technical issues. It's like, hey, let me look at what the issue is. Let me observe it. Let me study it, and let me create a solution for this.
Do you remember that grand opening? I mean, I don't know if you remember, but it was cold, and we had people camping outside
Yeah, they were
the
circling
restaurant.
around for like free Cinnabons.
Yeah,
And
it was
free-
awesome,
Yeah.
man. It was so awesome. It was such a huge milestone for us. It was the first time we operated a second brand, and G was right in the middle of that. And yeah, man, I think that's important because I think as you look into the restaurant industry, there's a lot of technology involved, but the reason I think you've been so wildly successful is because you didn't limit it to just technology. You really took on an operator mindset, and that's really what I think has helped you excel so much. Yeah, thanks for bringing us to, up to speed on that. So where in that because I think it's important, but where in that time were you with the wifey?
Yeah. So 2020. So we were living together at that point already. So we met pretty much 2016. So we met in 16, and we this was, I want to say it was already engaged. I think it was engaged already, and ended up married in 21. So April 21st we got married. So it'd been a year prior that we got engaged, and yeah, the fast forward today, we're almost 5 years
Yeah.
married.
And breaking news, G here is going to be a father.
Heck yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
finally.
How many weeks?
Yeah, so we're about a week and a half away. So yeah, we're, any day now. It can happen next week, and
Right.
it's
Now you know why we wanted him on the pod before that
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
He's a different man today than he's going to be in a week and a half or
yeah,
in 2 weeks. That's crazy, man. Congratulations. What? Oh,
appreciate it.
man, that's amazing. Super, super amazing. So 1.5 weeks away. How are you feeling?
I mean, I feel kind of normal, but the days get closer and closer, and you kind of
Yeah.
just start like to hit that, like, it hasn't been a full flip switch yet on, your mindset, but it's like as the days get closer, you're just like realizing like, man, like I'm gonna have a baby girl here pretty soon, and I've got somebody to take care of and somebody that's
Awesome.
gonna look up to me. So it's like you just wanna do better. You wanna do better for yourself and for your family and for your daughter to look up to. And yeah, it's just like it's an amazing feeling. And I've wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and I haven't yet, but it's like everyone's always asking that same question. How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? You
And
gonna
I
say
was gonna
something?
say we need one of those, Rudy. We need one of those. Bah, 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 bah,
Oh yeah.
breaking news, dude. Big news.
That's fun.
No, I'm glad you're getting into this, and I want to hear what you have to say because my next question was going to be, how do you feel, if at all? Because I know love, man. Love's a crazy thing, and it's something that you can't really measure. I can go off on a tangent on just that aspect of it, and we won't know until we feel that and see it for ourselves. But I think this is where you're going. Maybe you're not, but your professional career and how you've approached
Mhm.
business in general. How do you think that's helped you in preparing to be a dad?
Yeah, you know, I s I guess I don't guess. I started my professional career at 24 years old. So at 24 years old, I might have not thought like I was ready to be a father yet. I don't think, and at the same time, I don't think anybody's really prepared to be parents. It's like when the time comes, it's a blessing, right? But at the time, I just felt like I had um so much want to build before I started a family, I guess. I wanted to make sure that I got my professional career, a little bit more established. I wanted to make sure that my relationship was more established, like married,
Hmm.
and then bring in a child into this world, right? So I feel like I f- I feel proud of where I'm at, and even though we may have, hit some roadblocks along the way in starting our family, because, it took us nearly 3 years to start a family.
Hmm.
So, um, sometimes, I thought to myself, like, hey, like, should we have like done this sooner, than started, years before this if we knew we were going to hit that. But no, I don't have any regrets. I feel like both of us matured in different areas of our lives. And I feel like you're only as young as you feel too, so, right? Or as old as you feel. So
Yeah.
I don't feel old at all. I mean, I'm 34 years old right now, and I feel like I'm at my peak. And yeah, I mean, I think, to answer your question, I feel like I am in no better position than I possibly could be to have a child and be raising a family right now. So
That's awesome, man.
yeah, and
Even though you're not ready at all, we're never
we're
ready.
never really
But
ready, but
but I
yeah,
know that you feel that way because I see it, man. I see it in you. I see how proud you are of your family. Um,
I mean, we're talking about family here, but you
yeah.
just released some news too. So I mean, you know, like, you know,
Yeah,
I mean, this
yeah.
goes for the both of us. I mean, congrats to you.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I did. I announced that we're having a baby boy this year, so super excited about that. And I think that it's similarly to yourself, where we're at with our careers and our workload. I don't know. I think that inevitably, a healthy mindset prepares you in some way. And I'm not saying we're ready in no means, but yeah, thank you for that, man.
Yeah.
I think that at least for myself, you know, I th- I see I think we share a commonality in preparedness and
Mhm.
wanting to be prepared, in thinking of positive situations, but also thinking of everything that could go wrong. I think that as a father, as a provider and a protector, I think that you've done that in a large way in your professional career. You've protected and provided in so many different ways. And so yes, it's very different for a human or a little baby, but I think for at least me, man, um, it's been neat to start to feel and sense how my mind and my heart has gravitated towards, well, what do I need to do to be in the best position to welcome a life,
Mhm.
and so I think you've done that in a great way. Let's talk about some specifics. So I think on the Life Currency podcast, we try to give as much life as advice as we can for people in the restaurant industry. But I know it'll be different. We'll have to have you on the pod after the baby. And I always mispronounce her name. Tell me again.
Aliana.
Aliana, right? With
Ali,
an
yeah,
A.
Aliana. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Aliana.
Alyanna.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Um, I I want to the specifics I want to get into, and again, we won't know until we know, right? And you won't know until you know. But you're you're obviously you've excelled so much in managing your time and managing your team and your workload. Can you speak a little bit about what you've applied or how your mindset has changed over the years and how you're approaching your day-to-day routine?
Mhm. Yeah. So I think this kind of goes hand in hand with what, the topic prior and this topic now. But I think loving what you do is like one of the biggest keys. If you don't love what you do, you're always going to be stressed over something or not like your job and just be doing the bare minimum. And for me, before I even studied this, or got into schooling, I try to figure out what exactly do I like or what am I gonna like in the future? What's gonna position me to have a family later on? Like, I actually put that thought process in place. It's like, if I went to law school, I'm going to be arguing and, seeing clients and live a really busy life. If I became a doctor, I'm constantly, working with medical patients, seeing things, how's that going to affect me medically? If I work with children, am I going to want to put it, if I, am I going to put that much effort into my own children because I'm putting in someone else? That sounds messed up, but, I thought about those things. And at the time I was like, well, shoot, like, what's going to give me the best of both worlds? What's going to allow me to have time with my family and what's going to allow me to grow in the future, right? And technology is always growing. So that was one big thing and one key player for me to make that decision and say, you know what, I think technology is where I need to be in and start,
Yeah.
working in. But loving what you do, I learned that from my mom, and she's a hairstylist, and she told me like I love what I do, and for me or for her, it's she's not working because she's loving what she does, and that sat with me my whole life. It's like you got to love what you do, and I always tried finding like something that I loved to do in a workplace. Mind you, I started working at 16 and started at Pizza Hut and started working my way, throughout the years and probably worked a handful, somewhere between 10 to 15 jobs
Yeah.
before coming here. But um when I started working here, I realized really quickly, hey, I love what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And after realizing that you love what you do, it's like they say, you never work another day in your life because you're loving every single minute of it,
Mhm.
right? So um, I feel like that set me up, and that's something that goes, pretty much through my head. Obviously, you got to be professional about it. You're not just loving what you do and not working hard. You got to work hard and bust your ass. And I mean, set a standard for your team as well. Make sure that you're motivating the team, making sure that
Yeah.
they're seeing the future and what growth there is in this business. But yeah, I think that's kind of where my mind is.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and you hear that, but I wanna add to that a little bit because I think it's easy to say it, but you genuinely do, and I think what you love, and you're gonna tell me, no, this is what I actually love, but dude, I think you love solving, providing solutions, and I think you love winning. I think you love pushing yourself, challenge yourself, and at the end of the day, there's so much opportunity to do that in our day to day operation, right? And there's so many opportunities to provide solutions and to push the needle. And so I think in the simplest terms, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like you could easily see it as well. It's just electronic point of sale systems and credit card providers or Wi-Fi or network security. And but I think that that extra depth has really pushed you because that satisfaction of providing a solution and then seeing it,
Yeah,
you know?
no, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I could have I guess I struggle just going straight to the point. And everyone knows this. I always like go around the block. Like I'm like talking about all these other things minus the key questions sometimes. But yeah, no, I mean, I love challenging things and absolutely like I love to be challenged and I love to solve those problems like
Yeah.
100%. And here with the restaurant industry, I mean, it's just it's rewarding because you see challenges every single day. It's like when you go to a restaurant and if you're just a customer going to a restaurant, like you have those questions like, "Man, why are they taking so long at the drive-through window? Like, they're always taking long here. Why is there always a long line? How come every time I go into this business, they're stressed out?" And and for me, in this industry, it's like, man, that's an awesome challenge to have, because it's constantly changing. And, people are never gonna stop eating. I think Marcus has said that a lot.
Yeah.
People are never gonna stop eating. So we're always, we should always have business. So if we always have business, well, there's always gonna be a challenge that comes up. And to me, I mean, getting your team members or your general managers after solving a problem and just saying like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for,
Mhm.
you have no idea how this is gonna help my night shift." And once you start to realize that, you're just like, "Man, you know what? Like, this is a good purpose to have
Yeah.
because you're really helping people." And that's one cool thing about my job is that I get to sleep at night knowing that I helped people through technology,
Let's
and made their
go.
life easier. So,
Dude,
yeah,
that gets
that's
me riled up. I love that, man,
yeah.
because that's what we do here, and that's what we talk about, and finding that purpose is really, it's a really big, driver. That's so crazy, man. Well, I'm so happy for y'all as a family. I'm so happy for you and the wifey. I think you're gonna be great parents. I know you're gonna be a great dad, and, it's gonna be really cool to watch you struggle, but
Mhm.
balance it all, because 'cause you've got a massive workload. Man, there's so many directions that I wanna go in, but, um, the time management, I mean, is there anything you're doing or any technology that you're leveraging to build the routine that you've been building? Because I think it's evolved over time and kinda when you're working and how you're working, but is there anything specific that we can give the audience to take away?
Yeah, so some of the technologies that I like to use obviously is calendars. I calendarize pretty much my whole life. It's using your calendar and just having your task or your to-dos sitting on your calendar has always been just beneficial for me because there's always something going on. In technology, you have tickets that come in, you have phone calls, you have, text messages. I mean, if there's a lot of fires, I'm proud to say that we don't have a lot of fires right now. So that's a good thing. But when there is fires, just having that set schedule and kind of just prioritizing, what might fall under a low category, mild or high category issue. I mean, that's kind of the way I like to structure our department. So it's having a ticketing system in place so we can categorize what needs to take priority over other issues, and calendarizing myself. Lately, AI's just been blowing up, and that's pretty much the one of the biggest topics out there. But yeah, kind of leveraging AI as well. So a lot of manual tasks that I used to do, whether it was documentation or kind of
Hmm.
just, prepping for meetings. I mean, I dumped some of that stuff into AI, and that's just like helped me tremendously. So it's turned maybe a 1 hour task into 5 minutes.
All
So
right, be honest. Is is your due date on your calendar?
is my due date? No.
No.
But no,
All
nah.
right.
So due date isn't on the calendar, but baby's arrival is
Yeah.
on the calendar. So
Even better. He has
so
like a
it's like
time.
so it's like a time
It
frame. It's
could
like, hey,
happen.
baby's gonna come around this time.
It's
Yeah.
even better, bro. You one up me, dude. It's not even on the calendar.
Yeah,
There's
it's like
a different way to use the
it's like, hey,
calendar.
somewhere around this time.
I love that. No, the reason why I ask is because it's at least for me, it's been tough. Happily married now, expecting a baby. Just couldn't be happier with everything that God continues to bless me with. But I will quickly say that it always hasn't been the case. And in previous relationships, I kind of struggled with managing my time and finding like a rhythm with your significant other. And so I'd like to hear or at least know, but where does that line get drawn? And do you find yourself trying to operate your home or your personal life with very a similar mindset? So what I mean by that is, do you calendarize stuff with your wife, or does she have a calendar? Do y'all share kind of how you've operated at such a high level? Does that bleed into your personal life?
Yeah. So my wife doesn't calendarize everything like I do. Sometimes she's like, "Why do you calendarize everything?" She'll ask, but she's already known, like, "Hey, you know what? Like that's how he does it." So now, like, even when we go to like Driscoll appointments, like they're giving us the appointment card, I'm plugging it in my calendar right then and there. So now she'll come to me and she's like, "Hey, when do we have that Driscoll?" And I'm like, I pull it up, right? I've got it
Yeah,
on my calendar.
so
But
cool.
yeah, we don't have like a calendar together right now. Maybe it will get there. I've actually seen like some really neat
Yeah.
like calendars that you stick on your fridge, and it's actually like digital. So it's
Hmm.
like you both work around it, and it's pretty neat. But yeah, remind me of the question again.
Well, no,
Like, how
no,
is it
you
bleeding?
answered it. You answered it. Yeah, like, is it bleeding into your personal life? Real quick on the Driscoll side, hopefully you've had a great experience, man. It's what a great partnership Driscoll has been. Obviously, here at FMP, we're big supporters of the Children's Hospital, big supporters of Children's Miracle Network, and actually, I have a meeting coming up or a get together on the $1 million endowment that was put together for Driscoll by FMP. And I just think that it's crazy. It's full circle,
It
man. It's
is, yeah,
just
it's weird because
yeah.
we've attended some of the Driscoll grand openings, and, I've seen it at Dairy Queens, and I'm like, "Man, how crazy." Like, when I go to an appointment, I'm like, "Hey, I know this logo, I've heard
Yeah,
about this place."
this man's
So it's like
work has been able to
so it's pretty
allow
cool.
us to make those type of donations. That's so crazy. Now you answered the question. It was is it does it bleed, and where do you draw that line? Well, let me just ask you from a different perspective. Does the wifey get annoyed sometimes by how you operate?
Nah, not at
No,
all.
she's
No, she gets it, she understands, and, we've both been very supportive when it comes to, like, our professional
yeah,
careers, so it's like, hey, if she's thinking something in her professional career, I'm always gonna be there for her, I'm gonna back her
that's
up,
awesome, man.
whatever it is, like, we've got each other's back, so even when it comes to work, she's been so supportive of it, whether it's
That's great.
traveling, whether it's having to support a Dairy Queen at the middle of the night.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
and
it's,
that was a big thing, and I wanna that's exactly what I had in my mind. But and I'll just say real quickly, I mean, that's the difference maker in my opinion. I mean, relationships, you either drive them in a positive direction or they're like ticking time bombs, right? Because all that stress gets built up. But I think for the listeners and the viewers out there, the reason why I'm so hyper focused on this is because, and I'm not patronizing, man. I'm just being honest. But you're operating at such a high level, and and you've grown so much over 10 years, and it's not how. And I'm not saying the wife is an everyday person. She's special and she's great in her own way, but
mm,
it's different. It's different how you manage your time, how you manage your team, how you communicate, how you manage your projects and stuff. And so it's I think it's important for us to have open and honest conversations, at
mm,
least that we've tried that at my home. and try to set expectations, but it seems like y'all have a great support system, which is awesome.
Yeah, we definitely do. And, I'm going to piggyback off that because I'm having all these, different random thoughts that come in. But I feel like the reason, not just the only reason, but one of the reasons that we're able to continue having that healthy, I guess line drawn or whatever you want to, whatever we want to call it, or bleeding in, is because we set ourselves up for that, or I set myself up for that in the business and the work that I do. So what do I mean by that? It's like set yourself up with the right tools. So it's like if you're set up with the right tools in your workplace, everything else is going to come easy. So it's like a ticketing system. I have a ticketing system that notifies me through email, right? And that's pretty standard in ticketing systems. But if I get a if I get a ticket that comes in at 8 p.m., I'm able to categorize, hey, is this low, medium, or high? And if it's high, I pop my laptop open and I solve the issue in 5 minutes. So it's not really bleeding in to our personal time, right? Yeah. Because it's like, hey, you know what? Like we're at home, we're maybe cooking or something's happening, but I didn't have to say, hey, I'll be back. I got to go to a store. Like there's a fire happening. No, I can open up my laptop and I can solve the issue there.
Yeah.
So
but that doesn't happen if we don't vet out how many ticketing systems and how many times have we moved ticketing systems and constantly improved it.
Yeah. And like what's this like, and that's what I mean is like set yourself up, right? So it's like you got to have the right credit card terminals in place, have the right integrations in place, the POS systems, you have backup internet.
I think these things matter, and I'm so passionate about it because a lot of the time restaurants are overwhelming, and sometimes there's that saying of you either run the restaurant or the restaurant runs you, and I think we should, or at least here at F&P, we've talked a lot about this and how we're trying to change that, that I guess stigma around the industry that you absolutely have to. There's no shortage of hard work, right? There's no shortage of heavy lifting, but it doesn't have to be constant in the weeds and fires all day. But it takes planning, it takes the conversation, it takes the hours and hours and hours that we've put in. I mean, I can recall some of our one-on-ones back in the day, like we didn't even know where the meetings were going sometimes. And there's projects that we started and got in the weeds on and didn't finish, but then it pushed us in a different direction. And that's why I just want to appreciate you because you've always been supportive of the context and said whether I was right or wrong at the time, I felt like you always had a general idea of, well, this exploration of improvement is going to lead us to more opportunity and the next conversation or the next individual or the next product. And so that's always been great because it's a tough position for me, right? Because I sometimes feel self-conscious. I know I've called you at the middle of the night sometimes and said like, dude, am I doing the right thing here, or something? But I think that it's important that we establish that rhythm and those systems because without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. And without them, I would feel poorly if you were bringing a life into this world. And I mean, I still get a little bit nervous. I'm like, G's going to be out for a while. But I know that the muscle that you've trained and built and the systems that you've built and that we've built together, I think it's just going to give you a fighting chance, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's cool, man. I want to talk. So I mentioned or you mentioned, and it reminded me what I wanted to say, but how was that time when you recabled all the restaurants and you were completely flipped? So walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So
that was kind of crazy.
Yeah. So we recabled, every single restaurant. I mean, it was like, 30, 40 restaurants we recabled. So we ran 48 cables at every single restaurant. So that required us to get, I think, our operational mindset, or tap into that operator's mindset a little more. So it forced us to understand the restaurant business just that tad bit more. So it's like, what do I mean by that? It's like, hey, like if we're going to be working at a restaurant and running cables and opening ceiling tiles, obviously you can't do this during the middle of the day. We got a business to run, right? So it's like, all right, we got to schedule this overnight. So if we're scheduling things overnight, I think it took us the first time to realize dang, we're making a freaking mess here. Like we're
Mhm.
opening up ceiling tiles and, we're dropping things and cutting cables and it's falling all over the equipment. So now we're cleaning equipment and trying to do things. And it's like, all right, we need to really coordinate with restaurant, managers and say, hey, like, let's cover things up. Let's schedule, maintenance to come in a little bit early. That way they can wipe some things down, disinfect things and, mop, sweep mop, etc. But yeah, I mean, working overnights, I mean, you kind of get used to that. I personally, I can be a night owl, so I can sleep late, wake up early or whatever. I cannot sleep maybe sometimes, but yeah, from working from, I think we started at 9 p.m. and worked all the way till about 7, 8 a.m.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
How many
so
days was it? Do you remember? Because it was a lot.
I mean, it was
It's almost
probably
2
about
months.
2 months.
Yeah,
So
2
2 months
months.
doing that. So working the graveyard shift, I guess you can
Yeah.
say, right? So working the graveyard shift and I think so that part was easy. I think what ended up getting hard was after the restaurant opened and they started experiencing issues and all of us were asleep.
Yeah.
That's when things got like out of hand. It was like, oh shoot, like there's issues happening. Mario's knocked out and he's not waking up.
Yeah,
So it's
didn't
like,
you
so I'm
bought
like, dude,
blackout shades, right, or whatever? I thought you
um,
put blackout shades in your room or
I
something?
no, I don't, or maybe I did at the time. I don't
Yeah,
remember, but
yeah.
yeah, no, at that time it's like, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I did
The
have to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
because
told me about the
yeah,
light.
because yeah, you're trying to go to sleep at 8 a.m., not 9 a.m. and it's like sun's just coming out. So it's like I can't sleep when there's light. So
Yeah.
but yeah, after having some issues, it was like, oh shoot, like now I'm working from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. because now I'm like having to make sure that the restaurant's like stable and everything's working properly. So it took me probably like a month to realize, you know what, like I'm gonna start the night shift and then leave a little early to get a couple hours of sleep and come back in early.
Yeah.
That way, when Mario's peeling off or the team's peeling off, I'm there to kind of take over. So yeah, that's kind of how we handled it. We kind of just, managed the time a little bit better and yeah, everything ended up good.
It was crazy, and I remember I wasn't part of it. We played different roles in the company, but I mean, I wanted to support, and it's like I had to manage my time and say like, do I support or do I get on my normal routine so everything else goes normal? And it's a tough deal, man,
Yeah.
because it's a big ask, but you took it head on. I mean, that was several years ago now. But
We're-
it's projects like that are massive overhauls, and they don't get the attention and the acknowledgement that they truly deserve because it's the foundation of our business.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about having I think team members are happy in restaurants when the equipment's working. And everyone talks about fryers, they talk about when our business, whether they're ovens or soft serve machines, etc. But it's equally as bad when the EPOS is down or the Wi-Fi is down or credit card terminals aren't working, and it's so important that we're able to transact. And you've taught me a lot, man. We've learned a lot together, and you've taught me a lot. But that resiliency has been super crazy awesome. So tell me a little bit about your relationship with Marcus Barbosa. I know that's evolved also over time. I have my personal opinion about his leadership, but what has that done for you, and how would you best describe that?
Yeah. I mean, best way to describe it, it's been a game changer for me. So I would say that my operational mindset is just like I tapped into that new like resilience. It was like this guy's been in the operations, you know, I guess business, right? He's
Yeah,
been an
arena
operator.
or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call
he's
it.
been doing that for 20 plus years. So it's
Yeah,
like
now 30.
to take him and, thankfully have that great business relationship. I mean, he teaches me everything he knows. So it's
Mhm.
like almost like I'm this sponge that's just like soaking in all this new information that I never knew about. So um I feel like that just took me to the next level. It took me into, you mentioned Schlotsky's and me jumping in there. I I truly think that me learning the things from him probably is what allowed me to do that. It's like, hey, like I can do this. You know what I mean? I'm an
Mhm.
operator too. So it's like I have that operator mindset. let me jump in there and help where I can. So I think he just helped me also on like care more for the business, and in a different, I guess, seeing it a different way. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably the best way to put it. We work day in, day out together. So I mean, that's cool. He calls me any time of the day or night. He asks me questions, I ask him questions. And yeah, just having that ability to kind of join forces together and say, hey, you know what? Like, you understand operations, I understand tech. Let's both kind of create this giant that can take this business to the next level. And he's all for it. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably what makes it easy for us to work together, is that we never have that conflict of bumping heads or, you know what, I don't agree with you with that, or no, you're wrong. There's never been that between the two of us. So
Yeah.
that's healthy.
It's been awesome to see. And I think it takes a sense of humility on both parts to keep that relationship strong.
I mean, it's
'Cause-
like AI. I mean, this is just a random example, but AI is coming to drive-throughs, and that scares people. That scares operators. And I talked to Marcus about it, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm all for it." I'm like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "Dude, you're all for it?" I was like, "Heck yeah, so am I." And like that's cool because it's like he's all about it too, and
Mhm.
and some operators, they might not have that. They might think a little bit more conservative or a little old school, and they're like, I don't know if I want a robot to be taking orders at my restaurant, but when you start to think about how that can free up a team member and put their focus more on the customer once they're at the window, well, that's a big game changer for the business too, right?
Mhm.
So now you're not having accuracy issues. You're not having a bias like, hey, this team member is having a bad day, so they responded to me a certain way and didn't take my order right. I
Mhm.
mean, you avoid those issues. So
Yeah.
just thought
Super
I'd throw
neat
that
stuff.
example in there.
That's a great example, and we've been talking a lot about different technologies. Sometimes it's not always perfect, and sometimes it can be distracting, or sometimes it can be very helpful. So it's been awesome to see, man. Well, congratulations on that. Speaking of congratulations, I thought this would also be good timing because I think if you haven't, but you're about to cross the $1 million mark with one of your newest initiatives. I know we can get into the weeds of what software, what technology, but I want to focus in more on this perspective. So, to bring everyone up to speed here, Genaro has helped us with third party delivery as well digital sales as a whole, but also our loyalty app. And because of his work, we've put $1 million extra on the top line of our restaurants because of how much he's improved, how much he's studied, and how much he's now become a marketer and an operator, and leveraged those tools and brought them to our brands and worked with franchisors as well as worked with our team to train on those tools. And so $1 million and being able to say you've added that to the company. We didn't have that before, and we haven't done anything different other than introduce more of a focus on these particular pieces of technology. How does that make you feel, and what thoughts come to mind there?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it makes me feel amazing, to know that some of the work that I'm putting in is paying off,
Mhm.
and bringing in more business, because
Yeah, because
without having business, I don't have a job, right?
because you're the guy that spends all the money, not
Well,
makes.
that too. Yeah, that too. So I'm like spending.
We were in a
Yeah.
meeting. Did you see Sandra's face this past meeting?
I was like, hey,
Wait.
we got 120K to spend this year. And
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah,
what the
she's
heck?
like, "What?
Like,
You just spent
yeah,
200,000
she's
like a
holy
month ago."
shit.
Yeah, it's yeah, she's always having a heart
Yeah.
attack. She just looks at me like,
Is this guy
another
serious?
120,000?" Like,
I
no,
mean,
man, but yeah, you're changing the recipe, right? You're making those investments, but then you have this
you have
return.
you
So
have a
sorry, let
return.
me.
Yeah, no, you have a return. So it's like, hey, if you can invest this cash and put it here, but you're gonna make double, triple, quadruple that in the following 2 years. I mean, it's almost a no brainer, right?
Yeah.
So getting my feet wet, on the third party delivery side and digital
You're
sales side.
way past, getting your feet wet,
Okay,
dude.
so
Yeah.
so learning more about the numbers, I guess, because I never really paid attention to numbers. I knew it
Yeah.
was like happening. I knew that we can do it, but I wasn't like so dialed in and focused on, hey, these are what the actual numbers are and this is what we're making, right? So putting that focus this year and actually seeing the growth and like, sitting in front of it. I mean, to be able to say that some of your decisions, that you make and that we all make together in this company for the brands has brought in, a 300%, return or an increase in sales or, I mean, I think just the app alone brought in 300%. I think, DoorDash brought in 108%. Uber brought in like 200 and something percent. I mean, when you look at those numbers and you're like, dude, what'd you do different? And it's like, hey, we just studied and made decisions,
Made
and
shit happen.
yeah, I mean, we're just making shit happen. So, um, I just don't understand how anyone out there can look at those things and say, "Nah, I don't think we need that." And it's like,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah, there's a lot of those
There's
things,
a
and
lot
it's
of
going to change.
opportunity.
I'm certain of it. It's going to change and evolve again in the next couple of years. I would say less than 5 years. I think that the delivery and the third party is going to reshape itself. We've seen a lot of it go to first party, right? And we've seen franchisors grow their loyalty programs, and so then we're going to see a lot of that.
I mean, metro cities are introducing drone delivery. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I say that this man single-handedly. I want to take this opportunity to also shout out all of our GMs and our DMs and the operational team that has taken what Genaro has focused on and implemented it. Because if you're in the restaurant space and you're introducing new technology, it's not easy. It's not easy to adopt it, and it's not easy to use it. You can set something up, but it only works as well as you use it. And so shout out to all of our restaurant management, but also anybody watching this that's in the restaurant space. Challenge your team to adopt some of this new technology if you haven't already, and if you've adopted it, move those single digit percentages to double digit percentages, and start to have fun with winning, which is really cool, man. That's so crazy. I want to shift gears here as we come to a close, but and I want to just ask you, but well, let me back up. Do you remember? Because I always think about this, but I don't even know. You remind me how long you were with the company, but do you remember telling me that you're like, dude, I need 80,000 or I'm leaving?
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember.
It's like, heck yeah. How long were you with the company?
I don't remember how long, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like, it wasn't like too long.
It wasn't
like,
that long.
it wasn't that
Yeah.
long. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, let's call it. I mean, it was somewhere within the first 5 years.
Yeah,
maybe
less.
first,
Yeah, I think it
maybe
was.
first 3
No, it
years.
was
I don't
before.
know.
Yeah, it was less. And so I thought that was cool because you understood your value and you understood and you were willing to engage in that type of conversation, which is important. And I also would let everybody know that at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here is provide for our families and provide for our loved ones. And you have to have those open and honest conversations about value and how much value we're providing for a company. Thankfully, we're way past that and
Yeah.
long gone. But the reason I bring that up is because I think at that time you were kind of making a decision of, do I stick with the restaurant industry and kind of the private sector and business and entrepreneurship? And then it was kind of like, do I go with more of school districts and
Mhm.
more of that route? And can you kind of just speak on that decision and now from your perspective of today?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I felt like I could bring a lot to the table is where my mindset was at, right? So um I feel like everybody, and I might be going in circles here, but or going around this question, but I feel like everybody wants to make money, right? And everyone wants to make a lot of money. And that might have been where my mindset was at the time. It was like, hey, like I got to go to reach. I'm trying to hit a certain dollar amount here. And I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. I just need you to trust me so that I can do my work and make a living here, right? And and thankfully you trusted me, right? So you all have always trusted me, which has been really cool. But when I was making the decision, it was like also looking out for my future and saying, hey, well, I mean, should I be working, a job that's going to pay me, a bare minimum, that's going to be a long-term 30-year plan, 40-year plan, and maybe I hit that dollar amount at the end of my 40 years, and now I retire and I'm living a simple life, or no, you know what, like there's challenges here. There's money to be made here. There's opportunity for growth. And that was like the decision making there, right? It was like, what type of life do you want to live? Do you want to just be the bare minimum, or do you want to excel and take this business further and take on new challenges, open new restaurants. Like that's where my mindset was. And when it comes to startups, it's like, because that's another thing is like, hey, well, could I do this on my own? You know, do I have the resources to do this on my own? Or can I join forces with the company I currently work with and get there together? And I think just having that open line of communication is what was the best thing I ever decided to do, was talk directly with you face to face, shake hands, and just be like, hey, look, this is what's on my mind. And what do you think? And that allowed us to just have that better line of communication and kind of set the tone for what's next, you know?
Sure.
And it's like, hey, where can we go? What should we be doing? And yeah, I mean, I think looking back, it's like, I'm happy that I spoke up, because some people don't speak up. Some people just stay quiet.
It's important.
Just do the bare minimum. I guess.
I think the biggest mistake that I see with restaurant operators or with business owners is that they either feel like they know everything or they feel like they have to know everything. And that is such a big mistake. I mean, there's so many times where I've made massive mistakes. And I think that not drawing a line between us has helped us out so much, because even though there's understanding of roles and what we're doing here, I think that, dude, I've learned so much along the way too. And I think that I see that so often where people feel because they're an owner, they have to know everything, or they're perfect, or they have to have the right answers. That's actually quite the opposite of what you have to do in entrepreneurship. You have to make so many mistakes and provide so many solutions and fail so many times. So it's so counterintuitive. And so I think that that's great advice that you're sharing for other professionals. And I know we can't get into all the details right this second, but I just think it's an admirable trait in how you've gone about it and how you've built that trust, because it wasn't just, because we've seen this before too, where people just ask, and
and I think that's what I was going to say is like, there's got to be that boundary also, right? So it's like, you know, thankfully, I mean, because it can go two ways. It's like, hey, look, I'm going to trust you and I'm going to believe you, but are you going to perform, right? So that's like the next thing. It's like, if you would have just given me what I wanted and I said, hey, cool, like I'm going to just kick back and chill, well, that's a different story. It's like, hey, dude, you didn't really, you know, you got what you wanted, but you're not doing what you said you were going to do. Yeah. So I think, you know, I'm not an operator, but if I had advice to give an operator, it's, trust your team and, you know, don't micromanage them, but see if they're performing, you know, up to, you know, I guess that caliber.
And I have to perform and
it's
vice versa.
It's a
two-way street. I have to perform. G's looking at me and saying, hey, he told me X. Is he living up to that side of it? And that accountability is such a healthy thing. So that's cool, man. That's very cool. What are you most excited about at FMP or what we're working on?
Yeah. So excited about this. This is new, right? Yeah. So I mean, getting into the media side has been, you know, pretty interesting and different for me. I don't know anything about media, so I've been learning. But I think what I'm most excited for is at a brand side. So, you know, looking at our restaurants, I think I'm mostly excited to kind of just do comparisons of
the excitement's coming through already.
Like,
it's taking over.
So it's like, how can we compare, you know, what decisions we made in 2025 to 2026? So it's like being able to see that and actually see like, hey, like we made the right decision in 2025. Awesome. Now, are we performing better in 26 than we did in 25? So I feel like 26 is like a real, I guess, I don't know if pivotal is the right word to use or not.
I completely agree.
You know, it's like, it's going to teach us a lot, and it's going to say like, hey, like, you know what, this is working or this is not working. Or maybe this was just like excitement for the first year and just crashed. I don't think it's going to crash, but I'm excited to see that on a brand side. Moving over to media side, you know, getting in front of the camera, that's new to me. Being able to, you know, talk a little bit more about restaurant technology. I think that's something exciting.
For the second time.
But
breaking news. Rudy is looking at me like I'm crazy. We have another breaking news. All right, you break it this time. What's the new news?
Yeah, so we're starting to create content about restaurant technology. So, we're going to go ahead and start this new channel. It's going to be named RestroTech,
There you
and
go.
it's going to be featuring myself, just pretty much talking restaurant technology.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
man.
simple as that.
Yeah.
But yeah, super excited about it. Already starting to practice, with some of the equipment that the media teams put me on. And yeah, let's see how the
Yeah.
2026 goes.
So if you've tuned into any of our content, please continue to check out what we're putting out, because RestroTech is really going to provide a tremendous amount of real life value that you can apply in your day to day operation. Hanato, has led the charge for F&P with technology, both in the restaurants and outside of the restaurants. I mean, the way you've helped us operate, even from an accounting perspective, a payroll perspective, integrations. I mean, I think there's so much opportunity for you to share great, valuable content, and just like my content or our content or any other content, it's got to get off the ground. But I think the most important thing that I can say as from a business owner is that there's sincere value here, and there's a sincere person that wants to share that. And so I really hope that it's a massive success, because it should be, and I think you're going to do a great job with it, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And, piggybacking off you, I think it's cool because although I might be the tech that's, talking about restaurant technology, it doesn't just apply to technicians, right? Because most of the times there's, mom and pop shops that they are the tech at the restaurant. There's even corporations where, or franchises that, hey, you know what? I run 2 restaurants, but I'm also the tech at the restaurant. So
Mhm.
I think it's just, like you said, valuable to pretty much anybody out there. And, maybe some people are just interested in, learning what's at the restaurant, and maybe this can help them have an understanding before opening a restaurant or even during, whatever the case is.
You talked about what you're excited about, and thanks for sharing that. I too share a very similar thoughts on that outlook, but specifically to media, what do you feel like that's done for our company? It's obviously new, it's different, but from your perspective, good or bad?
Yeah. I think, you know, media is obviously new to us, right? So it's new to all of us, whether you're in the office or at the restaurant. So I think it just tapped into a new type of company culture, I think is what it did. I think it's a positive thing, in my opinion, just because it allows, anyone down from, and I not down, but anyone along the lines of, hey, you're in,
At a restaurant
restaurant
level, yeah.
maintenance, you're a team member, you're a cashier, you're a manager, whatever you are, it doesn't matter. But this is who we are as a company. And, it's not like we're just creating this content forcibly or doing it for any weird reasons. It's really just saying, hey, this is who we are and we're sharing it with the world. And I just feel like there's value to that because as businesses out there, I see it all the time, on whether it's Facebook, Instagram, like they're constantly advertising, whether it's their business or their, what type of product they're selling. And in our case, it's really just sharing, our team and us
Mhm.
having fun. So I feel like that's an important thing that I've heard a lot lately is, hey, have fun while you're working. It's like, of course, if you're having fun, I just that's gonna bring in more people to you, whether it's, customer base or whether it's team member bases, like, just people seeing the type of company you run, I just feel like it's a positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Off camera, you were telling me about it kind of highlights that we're all normal people. I liked that comment. What did you mean by that?
so normal um, yeah, I guess it's just like normal people. I guess what I meant by that is, like, we're not just we're not a stuffy corporation, so it's like, sometimes I don't know if I mentioned that, but whether you're a big corporation or a multi-unit, operator, sometimes, team members or others can assume like, hey, man, that's just another big company that's got a lot of money. They don't care about anything other than making money. But being able to share, that company culture or, sharing the type of people that we are, it kind of just lets, the viewers, I guess, see that, hey man, this person's just like me. And you know what? Like I can do that too. You know, it
Mhm.
kind of brings in that, whether it's motivation for someone or whether it's like, hey, you know what? Like I like to support people like this, or, you know, I didn't realize that F&P Brands was a local business. You know, some people don't know that. Some people see a big logo like Dairy Queen or Schlotsky's or Cinnabon, and they just think, hey, those are just corporate people. But what they don't realize is they're just local people from Edinburgh or Harlingen that
Or San
run this
Benito.
company. Yeah, exactly. So,
Dude,
yeah,
this
that's
has
kind
been
of the way I see
awesome.
it.
Yeah, well said, man. Congratulations to you and your family. You're a week and a half out of probably the greatest day of your life.
Yeah, yeah,
I get emotional.
yeah. I'm gonna cry.
Uh,
I'm gonna
I get
cry.
emotional, man. I'm going through it too, and it's just an incredible experience. But I'm super happy for you. We've lived through a lot together, G, and I just think that you coming on here and sharing on the Life Currency podcast everything that you've learned is another milestone for your leadership, man, and it just continues to grow. And I'm excited for what we're going to continue to do together. I'm excited for RestroTech, and keep making it happen, man.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Welcome to the Life Currency Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Lozano, a show that explores success, growth, and opportunity in the restaurant industry. A restaurant podcast by restaurant people, powered by F&P Media.